You good? Okay. Hi, my name is Ashley Bram Johnson. I'm here on behalf of the grassroots organization Vote Yes to Invest. We're a group of Abington Township residents and school district parents who are working to get the new middle school referendum passed on May 20th and ensure a bright future for our kids and community. The current Abington Middle School has served the community for over 60 years. Despite being retrofitted a number of times to keep up with growing enrollment, modern teaching methods, and students' evolving needs, it's reached the point where it makes more sense financially and educationally to replace it rather than continue to repair or renovate it. This is what building assessments conducted by experts, along with feedback from staff, parents, students, and district residents, has determined. The current building has multiple systems that need full replacements, like the roof, HVAC, and fire safety systems. The building is also not ADA compliant, and it only has one elevator that frequently malfunctions. In addition, the building itself is over capacity for the student population right now and definitely into the future. Our biggest challenge right now as a group and a community is making sure that people know about the middle school referendum and that we have to vote on May 20th at the polls during the primary election to make this happen. We're currently doing this by creating posts in our Facebook group and our Instagram account. You can find them both at Vote Yes to Invest. We're also making lawn signs you may have seen while driving around. We're sending targeted mailers. And right now we're in the middle of doing community lit drops to households that are likely to vote yes. You can learn more about the middle school project and the process of how we got here on the school district's One ASD, One Future website and on our own website, voteyes2invest.org. I'll be around afterwards if you have any questions or if you want to get involved with us. We only have a bit over 2 weeks from this Tuesday until the primary election on May 20th. So now is the crunch time to get informed and get involved. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you so much to Vote Yes to Invest for sponsoring this panel. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So today we are going to have a panel discussion on how to prepare your kid for kindergarten. I think that transition into school is difficult, not just for kids, but also for families. So I'm so honored to be part of this panel, to moderate this panel of some local experts to kind of get some good tips on how to ease that transition, what to prepare for, and just all your insights. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and start with Becky. And I'm pulling up Becky's. Okay, so Becky Dugan is a dedicated occupational therapist with over a decade of experience in the field. After earning her degree from Thomas Jefferson University in 2011, she spent 3 years specializing in early intervention and school-based therapy. She currently serves patients at both Abington Hospital and Moss Rehab, where she continues to support individuals in regaining function and independence and living their most meaningful lives. As the second oldest of 8 siblings and a mother of 5 children ranging in age from 10 to 18 months, 10 to 18 months, she remains continually inspired by the growth and development of children. Her personal and professional experiences fuel her passion for supporting individuals with both typical and complex needs, empowering them to thrive in every aspect of life. Thank you for being with us. So, as an occupational therapist, could you give us some tips on how to prepare for kindergarten?
Hi, everyone. This was hard to narrow down to 5 tips. Every tip that I give has subcategories to it, but one of the biggest things that happens in kindergarten is that these kids have lunchtime and more bathroom breaks that they have to be able to be independent at. So at lunchtime, it's important to make sure that your kids can open up their containers, all different kinds of containers. I've learned as a mom and as an OT, make sure you yourself can open them before you send your kid to school with them. See, right now I'm struggling. So maybe Maybe don't pick a hard container. Find one that you know that your kid can practice with over and over again. And then I need this. Make sure your kid can open up packages. Have them practice at home. Juice boxes are especially hard. Water bottles are fine to send kids to school with, but just make sure if you send a juice box that they have plenty of time practicing at home before you send it to school. Thank you. Toileting is another one. So you want to make sure your child can wipe themselves. Having it's easier for moms and dads to do it for the child, but if you want them to be more independent before school, give them the practice, make sure they're really good at washing their hands too. Singing songs while washing your hands is always a good one. My kids actually like listening to songs while they're going to the bathroom too. So whatever works. Another tip is making sure your kids have plenty of interactions with other kids before school. A lot of what I'm saying is going to overlap with the other experts, but one of the biggest things is being able to share with other kids, take turns when they do come across like problem-solving issues, which is not developmentally appropriate before kindergarten. They're gonna have trouble. Just being able to label their emotions when they're upset and verbalize like how they're feeling. So that's all something that you can work on with them before school. And then expressing their needs too. So I'm really sad. I spilled my drink on me and I need help. Like that, those are the basic pre-K, even before pre-K, that you can work on. A third tip is being able to follow an instruction. So 1-step instruction, 2-step instruction, 3-step instruction. Take this piece of trash and throw it in the trash can, or pick up that and put it in the bin. Like, you know, making it a multi-step task for them to follow, and being able to start a task and end a task. We all know that like tantrums happen and stuff like that. So make it fun for your kid. My kids respond really well to beating the clock. So, you know, old school, it's like, get this done before I get to the count of 3. That's like, that never happened. Nobody can do anything in 3 seconds. So I give my kids till the count of 10. See if you can race the clock and get it done before 10, get your one shoe on before 10, then we're happy, right? So make it a challenge, a fun challenge for them. Whatever works for your kid, you have to find what motivates your child. A fourth tip, and important because we're going to be doing lots of writing in kindergarten, is just giving your kids experiences with fine motor skills, working on pencil grasps, which they do a lot of this in pre-K anymore, but these things come in handy to teach your child how to use 3 or 4 fingers. I use 4 fingers to write. These little pencil grasps you can get on Amazon, Target, I think has them. But other than just holding pencils is cutting with scissors, using chalk, any tool use. Mixing in a bowl is a really good 2-handed task that actually translates eventually to handwriting. So anything that you're going to get to use your kids' 2 hands is a good thing. And if you want to start introducing lines to them, like writing in lines, a lot of the teachers use like the airplane line, the cloud line, and the ground line, I think, the grass line, and then it's like the wormy line for any of the letters that go below the ground. So that's a fun thing to start with your kids. And then gross motor stuff is just as important. Your kids build hand-eye coordination and peer-to-peer interaction. Like all of this stuff is going to overlap with each other. Playing ball is like taking turns. But get your kids to the playground, get them used to noisy environments, see if they can follow that task and instruction and in an obstacle course on the playground. Like all of that overlapping is fun, and it's motivating, and you get to see a lot of different things that we talked about here in one game, so to speak. All right.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was, so full of information. And also, I'll say this as well, like for those of you that are watching, we also will have a handout that we will, if you email vote yes on May 20th, we can easily send you that PDF if you want as well. So moving on, thank you so much. We are going to talk with Nora Hopkins. Nora Hopkins holds her American Speech Language Hearing Association Certificate of Clinical Competence in Speech Language Pathology. She has 5 years of experience in the school setting, working with students from grades K through 12. Ms. Hopkins holds a bachelor's degree in communication sciences and disorders from Penn State University and a master's of science in speech language pathology from Salus University. So, Nora, thank you for joining us. As a speech language expert, can you give us some tips on preparing for kindergarten?
Hello, everybody. So I have 5 tips here to prepare students for kindergarten, and a lot of them are about boosting vocabulary and modeling language for your children. So the first tip I have is to acknowledge any effort that your child makes to communicate. So whether that is pointing at something or motioning you towards something, that is their way of trying to communicate with you and have a shared experience. So I know everyone's busy and things get crazy, but whenever you can, acknowledging that attempt at communication and then interacting with your child in that time. And then that flows right into my second tip, which is when you're interacting with your child, use self-talk, which is narrating everything that you're doing. So if you're cooking in the kitchen, you could say, I'm adding this to the bowl. And in a roundabout way, that's teaching them prepositions in the bowl or on the counter. So just narrating what you're doing in your everyday life is exposing them to more language than you would even know. Another thing is called parallel talk. So while your child is doing something, narrating what they're doing, so that as they're moving one thing from one side to the other, they're learning the language that goes with their action. My third tip is to simplify your questions. I know parents want to know what their kids are doing at school, and you say, how's your day? And the kid gives you nothing, So giving choices when you ask questions kind of eliminates a lot of the possibilities of an answer and helps them find something to respond with. So giving them choices or just more specific questions. You can ask about what special they had that day, whether it was gym or art or music, instead of having them recall the whole day and find something to give to you. My fourth tip is to repeat and add. Again, in kindergarten, from a speech language pathologist point of view, we're looking for those longer utterances and longer sentences. So if your child is only using 1 or 2 words, saying ball, repeat back to them, say, it's a big ball or the blue ball, and giving them those extra descriptive words to use. And again, my fifth one is to point things out in their environment. So when you're reading a book or driving around, pointing out the different things that you might see and introducing the vocabulary. So instead of just labeling it, explain to them what it is. And especially while reading books, asking them questions about what they see on the page. A lot of kindergarten is story reading, and students will be asked to answer questions about what they just heard. So kind of getting them ready for that receptive language piece of kindergarten, where they're expected to answer different questions about what's around them.
Okay. Thank you so much. What I love about so many of the tips so far is that it's so easy to incorporate into your just daily routine. It doesn't take extra time. It just is the intention behind it. So thank you so much. All right. So moving forward, we're next talking with Rachel Bradley. Rachel Bradley is a dedicated educator with over 13 years of experience in the field of special and general education. Her professional background includes 12 years serving students in autistic support and life skill programs and 1 year in learning support in the math classroom. Ms. Bradley holds a bachelor's degree in elementary and special education K through 21, as well, or K through 21, as well as a master's degree in education and special education. She is certified as a reading specialist and holds an autism endorsement. In addition to her professional accomplishments, she is a mother of two and brings both compassion and practical insight to her work with students and families. Thank you for joining us, Rachel. So, Rachel, we'd love to hear some of your tips as a very experienced educator. How do we prepare for kindergarten?
Thank you. So my first takeaway, I can't stress it enough, is read, read, read. It's so important to give students and kids the exposure of reading. It can be you reading, it could be a friend reading, it could be a sibling reading. The kids in kindergarten are expected to be able to hold a book the correct way, and what's the front cover of a book versus the back cover of a book, and how do you turn a page. So especially in the beginning, early days of kindergarten is really just giving that familiarity to them. So as much as you can, read, read, read. It's so important, and your vocabulary expands, and your utterances and your writing. There's so much that can come out of reading. So just the importance of reading every day. And you can make it fun, especially in the summertime. You can read on the beach towel. You can read in a treehouse. You can read and make a tent. So making reading not feel like homework, but make it feel fun and exciting, and that it's an activity that you can do together. My second takeaway would be count everything you see or do. So again, you can make that fun. Like, how many grapes do you have on your plate? And how many ants do you see on the sidewalk? And how many water balloons did we just fill up? So you can count everything you see, everything you do, and make it fun and exciting for them. Third takeaway is practice your letters and the sounds they make. And this can be really fun and silly, and you can sing it, and you can dance while doing it, and you can make silly voices. Anything you can do to make it motivating to learn your letters and your letter sounds is really great. So again, sidewalk chalk would be a fun activity you could do in the summertime to expose letters and letter sounds. My fourth takeaway would be to recognize shapes, colors, and numbers. Again, when you're taking a walk, you can point out a street sign. What shape is that? What color do you see? What color is that tree? What color is that flower? Really just making it an everyday, daily activity. And that's how it's going to be in kindergarten, how to make it motivating and fun, and finding their interests, and how to incorporate that into their everyday learning. My fifth takeaway would be practice writing your first name. So students are expected to be able to identify themselves and their names. And so sidewalk chalk, again, would be a fun, great way of practicing your name. And again, that kind of ties into what Becky said about, practicing with your pencil, and any tool would be really great practice before kindergarten. As a special ed teacher as well, I'd like to give modifications for all of this. And so if it is difficult for your child to do these things, there's Storyline Online, which is a great resource where stories can be read aloud to you. It's a great website with fun reading books. You can also provide choices. So this is a red crayon and this is a blue crayon. Pick the red one, instead of giving them all the crayons right in front of them. That can feel overwhelming. So just providing one or two choices. Again, with writing your name, they can trace your letters. They can copy, you write it first, they copy right over it. Or this is the letter B, kind of like errorless learning. So this is the letter B, touch the letter B, write the letter B, so that they don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So providing those interventions are really helpful to make it not feel overwhelming, or they feel that them too scared to even go to kindergarten. So it's all about just making it fun and meeting them where they are. So
that would really be my 5 takeaways.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Such great takeaways. Again, a lot of this can be in the handout that if you want to email, we'll have it available. But we have one final panelist. This is Jessica Pace. Jessica is a licensed marriage and family therapist and owns the Center for Family Empowerment, which is a private practice specializing in working with children, teens, and parents. She has extensive training and background in knowing how to support not only each individual client, but also their family system, which offers the deepest and most lasting change. Jessica's clinical team works with children as young as age 3 and is able to work with a wide range of presenting concerns. Jessica holds her team to the highest standard, and her clinicians hold an abundance of certifications, licenses, and trainings in various areas, making Jessica and her team true specialists in their field. Thank you so much for joining us, Jessica. What would be great is we've talked so far about preparing for kindergarten as like the first major transition, but honestly, the summer for all kids going back into school can be tough. So I was hoping actually you could give us some tips on just the summer transition, getting ready for school, and your thoughts about that.
Thank you. Okay, hi everybody. So yeah, a lot of these tips are applicable for kindergarten, but also for the transition. Summer usually brings lack of structure, like not waking up always early in the morning. So my first tip is to plan your morning routine before, like weeks before school starts. Kids always feel better when they know what they can expect, whether it's I'm starting in a school for the first time ever, or whether I'm going back and it's just a different classroom or a different teacher. So going through how much time they need in the morning, where's their bus stop, or are you driving them? Kids should know exactly what to expect in the morning. And if you can, outline it for them. You know, we're going to wake up at this time. We are going to get dressed, like whatever your family routine is. At my house, my kids come downstairs, have like an easy breakfast, then they get dressed. But identify what your family or your kid really needs, what their routine looks like. The second one is adjusting your sleep schedules. My kids are here and probably not loving to hear me say the end of the summer brings earlier bedtimes, but getting your kids ready to wake up in the morning. So I usually recommend, if school time, like this waking up for school is going to be a pretty big adjustment for your kiddo, start this a few weeks in advance. Start doing bedtime 20 minutes earlier, you know, every few nights until they're at their ideal bedtime for school. Start waking them up, even if it's summer, even if they don't have anything to do necessarily that day, but like the 1 to 2 weeks before school starts, getting their bodies already aligned with the regular school schedule will be really, really helpful, so that it's not day one of school and nobody can get out of bed or everybody's having a really hard time transitioning. 3 would be planning supplies. Again, kids knowing what to expect creates safety, but also they don't always get a say in a lot of what's determined for school. So giving them a say in terms of like what color binder they want or folder they want, letting them pick out some of these things where they can have control can make it much easier than for the things where they don't necessarily have too much control. So the backpacks should be packed ahead of time. If they need new lunch boxes, all of those things could be picked out and like packed and planned ahead of time so that your kiddo knows exactly what to bring and knows what to use all of their supplies for. Building relationships. So this is both for kids and parents. Building relationships with teachers, with other parents, with other kids in their classrooms. It's such a good way to have connection. Like as a kid, especially if they're a little bit older, it's really nice to like not quite know something and be able to call one of your friends and ask the question. But also as a parent, being able to reach out to a community of parents to ask a question, to sign up to go to an event together, and to know your teachers and your administration. There's a lot of times where things come up and you might need to reach out, or your guidance counselors, especially if you have a kid who maybe has a more difficult time in specific areas. Build a relationship with their team who's going to be supporting them in school. That way you can easily email your teacher or your guidance counselor and say, hey, kind of had a rough night last night. They might be struggling this morning. Just giving a heads up. I read this article recently by a teacher, and she said she always tells her parents to say, handle with care if your kid needs extra love that day. You don't have to say why, you don't have to explain anything, but like just giving somebody a heads up if they've got your kid all day, maybe handle with care today. We had a difficult time. And finally, staying motivated. So setting goals and helping your kids set goals can really help with getting tasks completed and being successful. So motivated in the sense of like, what does your after school routine look like? Is it we're going to sit down and do homework real quick and then we get a snack? Is it we're going to play outside and then come home? Having some sort of structure and expectation for your kids can just help them be successful in terms of, oh, I know what I do. I know when I get home from school, we sit down and mom gives me a snack and we do our homework for 15 minutes and then we take a break. You know, whatever that looks like, your kids knowing what to expect and knowing that they have you or their person, their caregiver, their babysitter, somebody there to support them through that process will help them be much more successful in getting all of their things accomplished that they need to do. So those are my very quick 5 tips.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate like all the perspective from the kids' perspective too, to keep in mind why we do these things. Again, so practical, all the tips that you guys provided. I'm so happy that we were able to have this conversation early because so often we don't think about it until the week before school. And right now we're in May, sort of leading into the summer, and us having these things in mind will really help us incorporate this earlier. Once again, thank you so much for participating. I want to thank you again to Vote Yes to Invest for having this panel. And any more information, we'll also have information on all the panelists as well available in case you want to reach out or have any questions. Thanks again. Good job. Oh my gosh, that was